Around 4.5 years ago, I started building what I like to call my dream pond. I wanted one of those beautiful recreation ponds the professionals show you, but I couldn't afford the six-figure price tag. Even just the cost of the DIY kit was too much for me. Luckily, I already had a basic understanding of the principles of how water is filtered, so I set about creating a filter system with very cheap and common materials. For my large BOG filters, I use old plastic drums. These are used to import olives, and I've got a trench liner that I could special order from the local hardware store. The barrels I purchased for about $10. I see they're slightly more expensive now, and the trench liner for around $20. The professional grade components were going to cost me around $1,000 each. So today, if you'll stick around, I'd like to show you how I made these filters, how they work, how they're going 4.5 years on, and how you can do the same yourself. But if you don't know me, my name is Kev, and my aim is to help people build and maintain a pond without spending a fortune. If that sounds like something that interests you, you might like to subscribe and visit my website, Ozponds.com. The professionals that install this type of filter call it a wetland filter. I just call it a bog filter because, like any bog filter, it utilises bacteria and plants to filter the water. Fish and other organic materials, let's say leaves or duck poo, are going to release nutrients into your pond water. Those nutrients can fuel excessive algae growth, but the bacteria and plants that live inside the bog or wetland filter will process and consume the majority of those nutrients if you size it right. Over on Ozponds.com, I created a handy free calculator that you can use to size your bog or wetland, along with a pump calculator, because you also want to move the right amount of water through the filter, or at least get it in the right ballpark. So there were a few things I liked about the professional wetland filter. One, it's built into the ground, so it's really easy to disguise it and make it look natural. Number two, you can scale it to pretty much any size that you require. Number three, it's designed in a way that makes it easy to completely drain and flush. That's important because a filter's job is to filter stuff, so that stuff doesn't just magically disappear, it needs to be manually removed. The professional snorkel chamber allows you to place a pump down into the bottom of the filter. For me, I'm using the old plastic barrel, and we can completely drain it. You can flush the surface with water and force all the debris down into the centipede module, and all that gunk is great fertiliser for your garden. The centipede sits at the base of the filter, and it also helps get a nice even flow of water through the filter. And this is also important because we want the water to pass through the filter in its entirety, not just a small part of the filter. So I love the design of this filter system. It was just the price of the components that I couldn't afford. If you can afford it, I'm pretty sure it's a great piece of kit. But the components themselves aren't responsible for any of the water filtration. It's the rock, pebble and plants that go into the filter that then provide a habitat for the bacteria and other beneficial organisms that do all the filtering. So for my purposes, the $10 barrel is perfectly fine to act as my budget snorkel unit, and my $20 trench liner becomes my centipede. But I've had quite a few people from overseas that haven't been able to source a product like the trench liner, so what can they do? You can really use anything that will hold the weight of the rock and the pebble that's going to be piled over the dispersal pipe, trench liner, centipede, or whatever you want to call it. If I hadn't have found the trench liner, I was going to just use a 150mm PVC pipe and drill some holes in it. The holes will need to be of a reasonable diameter. Remember, this dispersal pipe is not only providing an even distribution of water throughout the filter, it's also used to help all the muck make its way to the clean-out port or snorkel unit. I'm not sure if I have a perfect size for the holes or their spacing, because it's going to vary a little depending on the size of the filter and the amount of flow. But what I do whenever I'm not sure is I test it before adding in all the rock and the pebble. I don't want it to spray out like an aquarium spray bar. I want it to just trickle, and that will hopefully keep the majority of the solid waste in the base of the filter. When the professionals build these filters, they use a matrix block that further helps reduce the flow rate through the filter, and that allows more solid waste to accumulate. On my bog filters I built using this method, I didn't do any of this as my fish are very small natives and don't produce a lot of waste. If I had large fish, ducks or turtles, I would absolutely use a matrix block, milk crate, plastic pallet or other suitable product to create a greater void space. Like I said at the start, it's been 4.5 years since I built this pond and filter system, and I have no regrets. To help facilitate the even flow of water and to make the filter easy to clean, the rock and pebble is graded with larger cobble near the centipede or dispersal pipe and slowly getting smaller as we move up through the filter. You'll also want to slightly angle the centipede or dispersal pipe down towards the cleanout or snorkel. As the filter is being drained, this will help the muddy, solid gunk move towards the cleanout snorkel. Remember, this is where you place your dirty water pump during your cleanout. You'll also want to create a depression in your excavation to place the dispersal pipe and the cleanout barrel. That way it's at the lowest point of the excavation, again to facilitate the collection of waste. You then line the hole with your pond liner. I also like to add some non-woven geotextile fabric to protect the liner. I don't want to create a hole or puncture the liner. And as you can see here, I just cut a hole in the barrel to allow the trench liner dispersal pipe to enter the barrel. If you were going to use all pipe, you could just use T-fittings, end caps, reducers and couplings to create a really professional job. But the aim of the game is really simple. You want to move the water evenly up through the rock and pebble and have an easy way to clean it. That's it. The bacteria, other little organisms and the plants remove the majority of the nutrient in the water, and the clean water returns to the pond. The water is circulated round and round, and when you get it right, the water stays really clean and clear. And you can build a filter like this inside the pond, separate to the pond, and connect it via a stream or waterfall, or you can even build it inside the stream itself. You're really only limited by your own creativity. And this is by no means the only way to filter a pond, but I do think it's the best for anyone that wants a natural looking pond. And the BOG filter is just part of the filtration system on this pond. If you want to learn more about how to build and maintain a pond without spending a ton of money, visit ozponds.com or watch this video next. I hope these resources are helpful. Thanks for watching. See ya.